Good morning, Bitcoins! My name is Thomas Hunt, and this is the great Steemit debate, Tone Vays versus Blake Miles. We're joined by Blake Miles from Indiana and Tone Vays from New York City.
Hi, everyone. Hey, Blake. Hey, Thomas.
And I'm Thomas Hunt in California with the World Crypto Network. Today's topic is Steem. We're going to do this in the style of an old-fashioned Oxford debate, the kind I used to do in high school. And that means that we've got a resolution, some organized speaking sections, and I'll be attempting to time and even score the competition here on my amazing magic legal pad. This is like an e-ink screen that I can write on, and it shows up on my phone. It's amazing. It's magical. And the resolution today is simple. Resolved. The Steem platform is a great way to reward content creators. Blake will be playing the affirmative side, which means he'll be supporting the resolution. Tone will be playing the negative side, which means he'll be attacking the resolution and disagreeing with it. We're going to have a series of speeches. We're going to do 2 5-minute opening speeches, 2 4-minute question sections, and 2 3-minute closing speeches. So everyone will have a chance to speak on this exciting and important topic. And I'll be around to moderate. We've got 14 viewers already. We're checking in with the chat room, and I can hear myself. There it is. I'm on delay. And I'm going to pause it, and that's pretty much it. Maybe we can take some questions at the end if you want to put them in the chat room, if there's anything we didn't address. If anything else comes up, I'll try to add it in as the moderator. Got my pen. Got my little timer. I'm going to go ahead and get my timer set. Debaters, are you ready?
Ready.
All right. We're going to go ahead and start with Blake. You get a 5-minute opening speech to explain Steemit in the affirmative fashion. Go ahead, Blake.
Awesome. Well, thanks for moderating this. So, I started writing back for Steemit back in June. I just saw a message about it on TradingView. You know, rolling around the troll box, and I see this link about Steemit, and I started writing back in 2011 for another website, so writing's been something that I've always enjoyed. And actually, when I started getting paid to write, that was an awesome experience. So I started back in 2011, but I got away from it, and then finding this Steemit opportunity, I had no idea. I mean, I've been in the crypto world. I first found Bitcoin back in June of last year, so relatively I'm a noob, especially probably to anybody watching this podcast, but you know, I've been completely down the rabbit hole since I found out about it, and a lot of sleepless nights because I'm up researching and everything. So I feel like I'm pretty well versed in the crypto world. I have a pretty solid understanding of the technology behind it, and I found Steem and decided, what the hell, I'll start writing. And once I started writing and I started seeing what the potential payouts were, it seemed unreal. It didn't seem like it was possible. And then July 4th rolled around, and I ended up with something like 6,000 Steem tokens and I don't know how many Steem dollars, a decent amount, something like 900 Steem dollars. So it was impressive, and I realized that yes, I can turn these things either into Bitcoin, I can sell them for Bitcoin, or I can push them back into the platform. And I decided to push a lot of it back into the platform, and now I'm sitting with like 15 or 16, 17,000 Steem power, and the majority of that was either earned by writing or you know, I purchased some of it and actually powered up with it. But what I've realized with it is that it's given the structure of how advertising works and how people who write now, or who do writing, anybody that writes, the only way they get paid is if there's advertisers for the platform that they're writing on. And what I'm seeing now with this is it has the potential to disintermediate the entire advertising structure. Basically linking the end user directly up with the product developers and product makers, and that's extremely interesting to me because anybody who can write, anybody who can create content that's interesting, informative, or otherwise has the potential to be involved in an ecosystem where they can write something and turn a reward around within 12 hours into groceries tomorrow. And that's extremely exciting for me because I like to write. So you know, I've seen lives changed already within the platform. You see people, one individual, Infovore is his name on Steemit. He lives in Africa, and his second post he made $15,000, and that's like game changing in an African situation. So, and that's just one of many. So I'm an early adopter. I'm proud to be an early adopter in Steam. I like the ecosystem. I like the platform, and if I can be rewarded for doing something I enjoy already and make money off of it, my wife's happy, which makes me happy, and you know, it's something that I can do and enjoy at the same time. So it's the convergence of social media and blockchain technology, and that's exciting in my mind. And then one key component that I think is really important in all the conversation that I see about Steem is that no investment is required beyond time. And when I compare the Bitcoin technology to what I see with Steemit, Bitcoin is, I love what Andreas Antonopoulos says, Bitcoin is secured thermodynamically. There's a security built in and baked into every coin that's minted. And on the flip side of Steem, everybody that puts in work, the mental sweat of creating something, can be rewarded for that, and that's really exciting because it makes a lot of opportunities available for people all over the world, and without having to understand Bitcoin or, you know, any cryptocurrency really, someone can just jump in, write, and earn. So that's been my experience with Steem, and I think my 5 minutes are up.
There it is. Excellent. Great opening speech. We stop that. All right, Tone Vays, you get 5 minutes to respond.
Right on time. All right, let me share my screen and I'll talk because I might need to demonstrate a couple of things here. Here we go. Okay. And it's great. Look, Blake, I'm happy that you happen to make some money, but one of the reasons that happened is because you were an early adopter of Steem. And I've been very thoroughly reading the white paper, and I have several problems with Steem, and I'll try and explain those. So Steem monetizes your content because they've created 3 separate coins. There are the Steem coins, which is here, the green on the bottom right. There is the Steem Power, and then there's the Steem Dollars on the bottom left. So when you say you have so much value, most of it is locked up in Steem Power, and the system discourages anyone from holding Steem because they charge you a 0.19% daily fee. So the entire system is designed to discourage anyone from actually holding Steem. They want everything to be held in Steem Power, but Steem Power locks up your value for 104 weeks, and you only get to withdraw it once a week you withdraw it all over a 2-year span, basically, slowly. And that is the problem with it. And this is why I see the whole concept as a Ponzi, and I will explain why I see it as a Ponzi. Before I do that, the Steem Dollars, as explained in the white paper, is an artificial peg to the US dollar that they fully control, which is very, very similar to what Paycoin attempted to do, but that's an additional problem that I have with the Steem platform. And what they're doing is, instead of paying you directly from other people, what they're doing is they're making up a currency. It's even debatable if it's a cryptocurrency or not, but let's suppose that it is, because they haven't done a good job explaining their mining structure, and there's probably no security there. But let's talk about the Ponzi scheme aspect. The problem is, the moment you deposit money into Steem Power, which you could, and here is a screenshot of the website. I went to the website, and there is a button there where you can buy Steam Power or Steam. What appears to be directly from the website, you just punch in the amount, and then they show you an address to deposit your Bitcoins. So the moment you do that, this is the trap. This is what I call the trap. This is the trap card. Once they trap your Bitcoin in Steam Power, it's locked up for 104 weeks. And that is what allowing them to run what I call a Ponzi scheme, where it's so difficult for older investors to cash out as new money is coming in. But the longer you've been in the system, the more it looks like you're actually profiting. Not to mention, as of May 1st, as stated in the white paper, 98% of all the coins in Steam and Steam Power were locked up in Steam Power. So that means only 2% of all those coins are actively being traded. That significantly hinders the supply of Steam out on the open market for trading, which inflates the tradable value. As insiders and creators of Steam probably have a lot of Steam, and they can kind of influence the buying and selling on these exchanges to keep the price of Steam artificially high, creating an illusion that all that 2-year locked up Steam is so valuable, but it can't be traded in the open market, but it's part of the market cap. So people are still donating and powering up, which is instant, and they're locking up their real value, which allows them to continuously run what I'm still considering a Ponzi scheme. And if we go to the SEC website, here, what are some of the Ponzi scheme red flags? And in my opinion, Steemit is hitting all these flags. High investment return with little or no risk. Absolutely. You're not really, you're just making content and something is paying you and you don't even know what it is. What is paying you is their made-up currency.
All right,
Nope, I'm out of time.
You're out of time for your opening speech, but you do get a chance of cross-examination. So you can ask Blake a direct question, and then we'll give Blake a chance to answer, followed by Blake, you get to cross-examine Tone. So, Tone, you get 4 minutes for cross-examination. Go ahead.
Okay, so Blake, can you see my screen?
Blake, you're muted. You want to unmute yourself. There we go. Yeah, I can see it. I gotta make my screen wider. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So here's the question. Since I happen to have the screen up and I didn't have time to go through how Steemit covers every one of these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 elements of the red flags. Are there any of the red flags, any of these 7, that you think Steemit is not part of? A high investment return with no risk.
One by one?
Right. You just glance at them. You can see.
Yeah. Okay. So high investment returns with little or no risk. For some, the people who can write and the people who can create content that is valuable to others, yeah, they get a high return. But the many who write things that people find no value in, they don't get any votes at all.
No, but they don't. Yeah, but they don't have any risk. They don't have any risk. There's a possibility of
waste of time. Time is valuable. Time is valuable regardless of whose time it is. Some time is more valuable than others. So there is a risk that you can put 3 hours into researching a very, intensive article on, leprechauns and fairies. But if no one finds that interesting, then you just wasted your time. Overly consistent returns. I've had three articles out of like 25 that have done well. Most articles that I've written have got me about $1 or $2.
Okay, but does it bother you that Steam has a 100% yearly inflation rate of Steam Power? They're basically doubling everyone's Steam Power every year.
But at the same time, your Steam Power is growing second by second. I can open up my the more Steam Power you invest, the more Steam tokens you power up into Steam Power, the more it's an interest rate, or it's a part of the whole reward structure. Some of the newly created Steam Power goes to Steam Power holders based on the percentage of Steam Power that they own.
but where's this money coming from, right? If one,
Well, the structure is what it is. So if people stopped caring about it and and people started powering down and converted all their Steam power into Steam tokens, and every Steam token on the market is not sold, then the value of each Steam token is going to plummet. But it's the same reason Bitcoin has value, because people see a value in the intrinsic qualities that it provides. It's secure and it does these other things. So, but with people, I think people like the idea of being rewarded and rewarding others for content creation.
well, you just mentioned secure. So do you know what makes Steam secure?
Uh, it Aside from running on a blockchain and miner, every node up is a miner or a witness, and every transaction that takes place, every post, every comment, every edit is recorded and identified on the platform.
But there's absolutely no record or proof that it has security. In fact, it's already been hacked, and a person has been able to just create unlimited amount of Steam. The system has already proven to be technically incompetent.
The Steemit layer, the Steemit website was hacked. The blockchain was not hacked, and I think it was an XSS injection that a lot of people with weak passwords got brute force.
All right. So one last question. This is supposed to be a decentralized means of content, of what makes it decentralized, but unfortunately, I'm out of time. You're not going to be able to have a chance to answer the question.
All right, so now it's Blake's turn to ask Tone questions. Go ahead, Blake. Got 4 minutes.
Now I gotta alt tab my way back to my notes. All right, here we go. So, original point you made: early adopters are always rewarded. That's the nature of the business. How much they're rewarded determines on the platform. But converting Steam power is a choice. Not everyone has to convert their Steam tokens to Steam power. It's just as easy to drop them over on Poloniex or Bitrex and sell them for Bitcoin or Ether if you want, or you can jump onto the internal market and sell them for the Steam dollars and get your direct return that way. So no one is forcing anyone to convert anything into Steam power, although...
Waiting for a question.
Okay. Well, I guess part of my questioning is, then answer that then. So if Steam power is not forced upon you outside of the rewards, where is the danger of you say it's locked in for X number of years?
Right.
I was aware of it.
I'll answer it. So the whole system is designed to basically trick people into locking it up in Steam power, and it's hard for people to realize that they're being tricked to put it in Steam power. Steam power is able to double the amount of your Steam every year, while if you hold it in Steam and not Steam power, you get penalized 0.19% for every day that you're holding it. Yes, you can go and trade it on exchanges, but now you're just a speculator. You're not participating in the Steemit system. In order to participate in the Steemit system, everything is tricking you into locking it up for 2 years, and then you have a problem withdrawing it. But because you're an early adopter, right now you get to reap the rewards, but not the people coming in right now.
So you're saying that the assumption is that everybody who converts to Steam power is tricked into doing it.
Correct.
Well, I wasn't tricked into it. I knew what I was getting into, and I knew exactly what I was doing when I powered up.
I'm taking the position that you didn't.
Okay, all right. So, okay, that's interesting. So, and the reason that there's a penalty, it's the dilution penalty, because more Steam is created, therefore the Steam that you currently hold is diluted. But that also assumes that there's no increased demand of Steam tokens in general, which, as the number of users increases, it's likely that the demand for Steam is going to increase as well, which negates any sort of dilution penalty that happens. But all right, so
question.
Yeah, well, I mean, my question, I'm looking at the time. We got a minute left. So let me find another good question.
Well, I can actually even answer that. Well, I'm saying that the reason why the steam is being diluted is because they want to again try to get people to believe that the best place to hold your position in the system is in steam power, which allows them to control probably over 90% of all steam, and users don't. And that's what allows this extra price on the Steam that is allowed to be traded versus one that is locked up.
So you continually use the term them. Who is them?
Well, the creators of the system, Daniel Latimer and the CEO.
You're implying that they have control over these Steam tokens.
Well, of course they do, right? They're deciding how often you can get them out over a 2 years period.
No, it's decided based on a built-in logic algorithm. If you power down, it takes 104 weeks, and you receive 104th of your total holdings every 7 days.
Right, and I believe they wrote this to basically be able to run what I'm considering a Ponzi. I think we'll end it there.
All right, we're going to go on to Tone. You get a 3-minute closing speech. Also, if you're in the audience and you have a question that hasn't been answered yet by this debate, we're going to do, if there's questions, we'll do a little audience questions after the debate. Go ahead, Tone. You got 3 minutes.
Okay, so in my closing statements, Steemit, in the white paper, they have some interesting things. They talk about their subjective proof of work, which sounds like what's happening when people upvote and downvote everything. Also, everything is designed to push your tokens within the system. I have to say tokens because they have 3 different tokens. So everything is designed to push those tokens into Steam Power, which locks them up for 2 years, contracting the tradable supply and inflating the exchange rate. And what they're doing is they're rewarding everyone with tokens, but because most of them locked up, they don't have to worry about anything, and it's all just paper returns. They're rewarding people for voting, for upvoting. They're rewarding content creators for getting their stuff upvoted. I guess from what I understand, the earlier you vote for something that becomes popular, the more you earn. There are all these incentives. Every incentive points to creating more and more steam into the system, and because the steam is locked up, the small part of steam that is actually tradable is greatly inflated. And all of the Bitcoin value, in the beginning there probably was no Bitcoin value, but because of the hype, the Bitcoin value has come in, and this Bitcoin value came in directly into the Steam platform, which allows them to continue running what I'm, again, calling a Ponzi structure, because now they have some kind of a backing that they can wait at least a year to pay out because of all the locked up steam. And I will just conclude with a few quotes, just a couple of quotes directly from the white paper itself. Let me read this to you. And I quote, "Because everyone benefits, everyone should pay. In other words, no individual user should be expected to pay for anything, but instead should be paid for everything. They do not bring for everything they do that brings value to Steam." So it's a sentence where they first say everyone should pay, then they say no one should pay, but everyone should get paid for bringing value to Steam. So basically, everyone just gets paid in Steam. And one final quote, and this is a whole paragraph. "Furthermore, Steam pays people to figure out who should be paid. This kind of thinking is revolutionary."
Very good. And now, Blake, you get 3 minutes to respond to Tone. Go ahead.
So the most important thing that I'm getting from Tone's objections to this is that, one, there's an assumption of forced behavior. There's an assumption that a limited tradable supply is necessarily a bad thing, and there's also an assumption of user incompetence, myself included, apparently. So those three things combine, in my mind, to I can't follow the argument train of just because it's assumed that behavior is forced, or just because it's assumed that I've been using it for the past 2 months. The assumption of forced behavior, I see nothing like that. I talk to people on a daily basis within the platform. I comment on a daily basis on the platform. If there's people who don't know what they're getting into, just like everything, there's a risk. So if someone doesn't know that their Steem tokens, once they power up, are locked in for a 2.5 year or a 2-year time frame unless they start powering down, then it's there. You know about it. But if they're pushing in if they're pushing in a considerable amount of money and they don't know about it, that's I don't know. The assumption of incompetence and forced behavior, the structure of the system forces people to do anything, removes personal responsibility from the entire platform, which I prefer to not do that. I don't assume people are idiots. I don't assume people don't know what they're doing, and I don't assume that a platform that is just a platform can force me to do anything. So, but with that aside, it doesn't answer my initial point, which lives have been changing already. My own life has been changed already, regardless of whether or not I'm an early adopter. I know how much Steem power I own. I know what it's doing, and I know what a Steem token is worth. And it's actually really nice to be able to purchase a token and know that whales can't purchase hordes and hordes of these tokens and then flash crash the market within a day just because they can. Some markets, entirely free markets, entirely liquid capital, makes a lot of sense, like Bitcoin. That's what it's built for. Other markets, we don't know. This stuff hasn't been done before. We're in the Wild West right now, and all I'm hearing is that this is bad because it forces people to do something. But I don't assume incompetence in others.
All right.
Are there questions we can take from live listeners, maybe?
Go ahead, and audience, ask us your questions right now. I'm looking at the chat. There's like a 2-minute delay on that. So just basically I want to summarize the debate, talk about the various points that we had. We started out, Blake made some strong points saying that he started out as a writer, then he learned about Steem, he got more into his writing. The reward structure helped him write more and drove him to create more content, which is a good thing. That Steem has changed lives. Steem's changed lives in Africa. There's that one user who did really well. A lot of other users have made some points, made some money on the platform. It's good for them. Tone came back on the negative side, said that there's 3 coins, that it's a Ponzi, that it's pegged to the dollar, it's a made-up currency, and there's a lot of red flags around Ponzi. Then Blake came back with the affirmative, said that time is valuable. Time is what you're really investing when you use the Steem platform. The time it takes to write good articles, to make good comments, and to talk to people, and that only 3 out of his 25 articles were heavily rewarded. So there is some difficulty in creating quality content that does well on Steem. It's not just put anything up, get $5,000, and I found that myself. I tried to put up some content. One of them did okay, got a couple $100. Some of them got like 20 cents. They don't seem to like videos either, which is a bummer to me. Once again, trying to get a couple bucks from my videos. The affirmative came back again. He said he is an early adopter. The choice to convert to Steem power is your own choice. There's no force. And I think this is a big part of Blake's point, kind of a classic libertarian argument that if it's no force, it's your own choice. And buyer beware, caveat emptor. But you can do what you want. You can keep the Steem. You can sell the Steem. I sold mine. I'm trying to transfer it and sell it. That's what I'm trying to do. Other people do what they want, and that the demand will increase the price. Tone came back, said that it's subjective, the proof of work, that there's incentives for more, and that the incentives might go away if the value of the coin drops. And there's a very confusing platform about users should pay, but then users should never pay. So the white paper seems a bit contradictory there. But we have had a couple of questions as I stalled. So we've got a question from M1XOLD Mixodon, who says, Blake, what is the incentive for someone to exchange their Bitcoin into Steem? As he sees it, that's the only thing keeping Steem alive. Blake?
Biggest incentive for, and this is actually, I'm glad he brought this up, because part of the platform that Tone pulled up of converting Bitcoin into, that uses block trades, which I believe is a decentralized exchange platform. So it's not like being held in Dan Larimer's personal Bitcoin wallet. But so the reason I converted my Steem, my Bitcoin, some Bitcoins that I own and some Ether that I own into Steem tokens was so that, one, I can convert it into Steem power and benefit from the increasing interest rate, or the interest rate for holding Steem power, and two, I like the idea of being able to reward people for their content. So right now with my 17,000 Steem power, one of my votes on the bare minimum entry level, nothing with no votes on anything, is worth like 55 cents, the equivalent of 55 cents. So knowing that I can reward people for their content and that I can push my comment to the front of the line, I see a value, and I see a personal value in having that strength. I can't think of the best word for it, but and it demonstrates, hey, I'm not just some punk on Reddit who can create a sock puppet account and throw out tons of FUD or tons of toxic behavior just to divide a community. Like, you can look at my name, you can look at my wallet, you can look at what I've written, you can see everything I've done because it's all on a blockchain, and my account name is my name, so I'm wide out in the open. So I do it because I like being able to reward people for things that I find interesting, rather than just give them an upvote on Reddit.
Can I comment on that as
Sure,
well?
go ahead, Tone, yeah.
So a couple of things. So the first thing I just want to comment, Blake, you actually can't make the claim that the Bitcoin isn't going into Dan Larimer's personal pocket, because you don't know if he is the big whale selling all the Steem to people.
True.
There's no way for anyone to really know.
True.
That's the comment. As for what you just said, your ability to reward people. So because you have personally said that you did deposit some Bitcoin into Steem and then you turned it into Steem power, so you actually did put value onto the Steem chain in the form of Bitcoin. So when you say that you like to reward other people, in your case, it is probably true, because you did add some, something valuable. To me, valuable is Bitcoin and US dollars, let's say. We'll narrow it down to two. But for other people that did not put their skin in the game, that just wrote a couple of articles that they earned value from, where did this value come from? And now they're claiming, well, now I'm actually going to reward somebody else with this value. But no individual user actually paid them for this, right? And because Steem gets to just have 100% a year inflation, there's so much Steem out there that it's literally coming out of like the ether. And so I don't think that's right when you say, I like to pay people and reward them. Well, if you didn't actually put any money into the system, well, what exactly are you paying them with? And I don't believe that that's true. In your case, it's a little true, but in other people's cases, that's not true at all.
Well, two things. So the price per token of Steem would not be worth $4, or what is it, almost $3 or $2.75. It wouldn't have reached $5 in the past month unless there was value being pushed in, or there's value perceived in the Steem token. Second, there is no arbiter of value. The only arbiter of value is the individual. And you saying that, you just write a couple pieces of content. Where's the value in that? Well, the person writing it might find that valuable, or a person reading it might find it valuable enough to want to reward them with something. So, and as far as the where the Bitcoin is going to and coming from, yeah, okay, yeah, it might be Dan Larimer selling off all of it, but at the same time, you would be able to see on the Steem blockchain what account that Steem came from, and also the rewards aren't coming in Steem. I don't get rewarded for writing articles in Steem. I get rewarded in both Steem Power and Steem dollars. So so the Steem rewards, that's from mining and
Right.
the liquidity way.
Yeah. See, I don't think the Steemit blockchain is on enough people's radar to care about analyzing it. Maybe in the future. I don't think anyone is analyzing it because there's only a few people that are even skeptical about Steemit, and I don't think any developers have gotten skeptical, have cared enough yet to be skeptical about.
Go look at the Steem, the trending page on Steem right now, and you'll probably be able to find about 3 or 4 different projects that developers are working on specifically for visualizing the Steem blockchain. And the one I mentioned earlier, one of the biggest rewards I ever saw was a dude basically put a streaming web page where every new comment, post, transaction floats up on just this one main page, and he made something like, he got like $28,000 in rewards or something like that.
Do you think his work was worth $28,000 in rewards?
I thought his work was worth a reward, but apparently a lot of other people thought his work was worth a reward too. Hence, he received a considerable amount of money. It doesn't matter what I think it's worth. It matters that I think it was a valuable contribution to the community, so I rewarded him for it.
Well, since the Steemit white paper claims that you can run an entire economy based on content, is this again, in your non-economic, non-professional opinion, do you think that kind of a job is worth that amount of value, and will that be the basis to form an economy?
I think the basis of a content economy is certainly possible, and all it will serve to do is reward the people who aren't creating content that much more. So at some point in the future, rather than making a few bucks for writing an article about something, you can go out and earn much more for, I don't know, like building a chair, because no one knows how to build chairs anymore. But if people can earn money just for putting their thoughts on paper, I don't see a problem with that. And if the community deems it worthy of reward, and I say community as a entire global community, because that's what this is, I don't have a problem with people earning value and earning assets that they can use to buy groceries for putting their thoughts on paper.
All right, we have another question from the audience, pretty much for Blake, but maybe Tone could comment too. Gurgis asks, can Steem exist without Steem Power? Go ahead, Blake.
No. It's the way I've seen it and the way I've described it. It's just like a three-legged stool. The three tokens, the Steem dollars, the Steem Power, and the Steem tokens themselves, they all interact with each other to create an ecosystem, an economic ecosystem that I haven't seen anything like it. But it seems to have a balance. It strikes a balance, as far as I can tell.
I think this blends easily into the next question. We'll talk to Tone right after this. Yeah?
Well, I just want to comment real quick, because I agree with Blake. I actually agree with Blake that Steem cannot exist without Steem Power, but for a different reason. I believe Steem can't exist without Steem Power because Steem Power is necessary because it locks up people's actual value for 2 years. That allows them to kind of continue with this scheme for at least a year until there will be more withdrawals than people getting their value locked up. So I agree on the yes part. Sorry, I agree on the not existing part. I completely disagree as to why.
All right, and the next question is, can such a confusing system with 3 tokens really be understood and find a large user base? Blake?
Well, so I'm a non-economic, non-professional, so I've been able to understand it by just reading and researching and being involved with it for about 2 months. Um, but that it's not necessary. I mean, it uses a platform that everyone's used to. Anybody that's used Facebook or Reddit can pretty much grasp the overview of what's going on. Whether or not they know how what's going on under the hood is another story. But just like Bitcoin, anybody given enough time could probably figure out how to use Bitcoin quite simply. Do they know how it works? It's no, but if they tried to, it's it dives them down a rabbit hole that's just going to confuse and bother them. But I will say, the fact that there's a horde of females and women getting into the Steemit platform, that should make people's eyes open in the crypto space, because we've been living, as far as I can tell, this is one giant sausage party, and that's not a bad thing, because there's some sharp cats in this space, and there's a lot of interesting minds running around. But bringing female perspective into this space, it's something that we need. It's something that we desperately need, because for one, it's half of the population of the Earth, but two, it adds a texture that otherwise wouldn't exist.
It's a very solid point, and we also we want women to start shopping at purse.io, where they can save money on Amazon with Bitcoin. Go ahead, Ton. I just had to get that.
Can you just read the question one more time?
Sure. The question was, I scrolled down, but basically you're saying, can such a system with 3 different coins be understood by a wide audience? Is it too complicated? Go ahead, Ton.
I thought there was 2 parts to it, actually. I remember that part. What was the other part?
I don't know. I'm scrolling back. Let's see. Can such a confusing system with 3 tokens really be understood and find a large user base?
Okay, so again, my answer is the same as Blake's, but for a different reason. I believe this confusing system of 3 coins can be understood, and I believe I understood it by very carefully and thoroughly reading the white paper, which is why I'm a bigger critic now that I've read the white paper than before I even read the white paper. So I believe that it can be understood. Can it gain a mass audience? Again, it's proving that it can gain a mass audience, but I think that it's gaining a mass audience because people don't understand the system. So, and I'm not going to really comment on the gender issue. I don't see a gender issue. I mean, yes, there is definitely way more men in Bitcoin than women, but I don't want to just, change things in order to get more women in. I want smart, responsible people joining the space, regardless of their gender. And if it happens to be 80% women and 20% men, that's what it is. And if it's the other way around, then that's what it is. I don't really want to alter anything in order to cater to one gender or one race or whatever.
Also, it would be unfortunate if their first experience was to lose money. Although it is possible, if they write a good article, take the money out, they will at least get paid for one article. It's basically like an article. Like, the system works until it doesn't work, but I'm not really sure. We'll see. There's a question I'm just kind of like, I'm going to answer. Why was there a pre-mine? There's pretty much a pre-mine so that it could run the Steem system. But I think this blends well into the next question, which is from Richie Rich. He says, look at the Steem weekly chart on Bittrex and tell me what happens when no one buys Steem on the market anymore. Blake?
Well, it's a hypothetical, assuming that demand will disappear, which is a fun hypothetical, I guess. Yeah, the price would precipitously drop until it finds a floor, and then more people will start buying it. And if no people buy it at that floor, then it'll drop some more. But So one beautiful thing about the Steam Power system is that if someone powers down, that's a signal broadcast throughout the network, and you can know at any given point of time how much Steam power is going to be converted into Steam 7 days in advance. So it's a form of market information that I don't see anywhere else. You don't know if a bunch of miners are going to be dumping a bunch of Bitcoin tomorrow, let alone 7 days in advance. So as far as the question, hypothetical drying up of demand, what happens if the demand for chiclet gum dries up tomorrow? I don't know. I mean, it's a hypothetical that is unanswerable because the likelihood of it happening is in the 0.001% realm.
And if we're going to do hypotheticals, it's also possible that it goes the other direction, that there's a crazy increase in demand for Steam, and that the price goes way, way up, and no one can get any, and suddenly people are wanting to trade a lot of money because they want to do what Blake said. They want to be able to reward content creators. They want to keep some Steam power in their system and have their upvotes count as 55 cents. So, hypothetically, it could go both ways. But Tone?
Real quick, and that's exactly what happened about 2 weeks ago or whatever. And I could see that slow steamroller coming because you can see the amount of new users coming into the system, and you know that 98% of the existing tokens are frozen in Steam power, not because they were duped, but because the people that own Steam tokens said, I like this concept, I want more Steam power, so I'm going to convert.
Tone, go ahead.
Well, I kind of have to agree on the hypothetical, and it's drying up of the trading. There's plenty of gamblers out there. There's plenty of people that think they can turn the Steam around and make a profit. Also, the better hypothetical question would have been, what happens if Poloniex exit scams like Cryptsy and disappears? And then where's the market itself, right? Well, what if there's no platform for the market? So that's a more likely hypothetical in the near future. Also, I'm going to join the two questions together. I don't know the details of the pre-mine. I mean, I'm still dealing with exposing the conceptual version of Steam. I'm not going to get into the technical exposure of the platform because I am not a developer, right? So I can't go in there and audit their proof of work algorithm. I can speculate that it's not really proof of work. I can speculate that they don't even have a blockchain and it's just a database they're calling a blockchain. I can speculate all these things, but I'm not a developer to go and prove it. So we need developers that are willing to put in this kind of time, and I don't know how many developers, go out of their way to basically disprove projects. I mean, this is actually kind of rare. Like what happened in the DAO. What developer is going to go and audit the DAO code? Because the first one that did saw the exploit and stole the ether, right? So this is kind of this is kind of how these things happen. So again, if there was a pre-mine, and I have no idea if there was, I'm hearing about this for like the first time. I've just been focused on the concept of the platform. Again, if there was, and the insiders of that created Steam pre-mined, they got a lot of coins that are now valuable, so they can keep their peg. They can, when trading starts to dry up, they can create artificial demand. When buying isn't happening, they can, spoof that there are a bunch of coins are being sold. So, and because it's the crypto space, you don't know. And I've always been, the anarchist, no regulation, no regulation. And now I see a huge need for regulation, so I completely changed my stance. Now I am for regulation, and specifically against KYC AML. Like I want this thing to, like, if you're an insider, then you should be KYC'd. So all of those insiders that helped build the Steam platform, they should be open and audited left, right, and center because they're public people. unless they want to build a system like Satoshi Nakamoto and remain invisible. And that's also perfectly fair, and then it's a true buyer beware. But people are trusting these guys that they're smart, like even like Vitalik Buterin. They're trusting these guys that they're smart and that they know what they're doing, and it's very questionable whether they do and they understand how their systems can be gamed, and or just free market takes them somewhere.
All right, our next question is from Matsui's, who says, seems to me like Steem is more of a gamification concept than a cryptocurrency. Why is a blockchain necessary? Blake?
I agree with the gamification. Yeah, that's a very good way of putting it.
Can I just jump into defend Blake? I don't think Blake is in any technical position to answer the question whether a blockchain is necessary.
I do think that gamification is a fair point, and maybe a better way of discussing this, that Steem is a gamification idea, or Steem is a system attempting to reward content creators, and they've kind of shooed in a cryptocurrency. I'm not sure if they need it. It's unclear to me.
The reason for a blockchain is transparency. That's the only reason for a blockchain. You have transparent markets, you have transparent players, and you have transparent information. If you have transparent information in a market, then it's perfect information across the market. That's why a blockchain is useful. Telling me I am not technically proficient in answering why or not a blockchain is needed, I don't even know how to respond to that. So I will say it's useful because you can know at any point in time, like you can open up and see what Dan Larimer's account looks like right now. You can see everything he's done from the start. You can see how many Steem tokens he has, what his Steem power is. You can do that with anybody on the blockchain because it's on a blockchain. It's transparent information that assists in making market decisions for all.
I have to disagree with that because
Tell me why.
all you see is Dan Larimer's public account. You don't know how many spoof accounts he has.
You don't have to know what spoof accounts, because anybody can make an account if they want, but you can see what's on that account. That doesn't mean he might be throwing funds into an offshore account, but we don't know that. But how is that relevant to the Steem blockchain?
Again, I don't think that it is, and I will also answer the question, even though I am not qualified to truly answer whether it does or doesn't need a blockchain, because my developer days are 10 years behind me. But I don't believe they need a blockchain. What they needed was a way to create tokens based on content, and the only way they can do it is by throwing around the word blockchain. I don't believe it is a blockchain. To me, a blockchain is a proof of work, immutable value transfer, and I don't believe that this fits that criteria. So whatever they have, I don't even think it is a blockchain based on what I view a blockchain is. And I see, well, the transactions might be transparent, but you don't know who's on the other end of that transaction. And in this case, I believe you kind of do need to know who's on the other end of this transaction, because they're locking up, because of the whole lockup in Steem power that allows them to just inflate this thing at 100% per year. So even if you're not making content, it sounds like you'll still be able to double your Steem power every year by having it.
So
if that's not a Ponzi, I don't know what is.
Are you advocating for KYC for every user on the Steemit platform?
No, I am not. But the way it's built, you just don't know who can be gaming the system. I'm against all KYC AML, but I am also against this system.
Well,
I want to interject there. It is a historical fact that when Reddit started, the admins, the people starting Reddit, went in and made fake comments, made fake upvotes, made fake stories. Now, whether that was necessary to get Reddit off the ground and a good thing, or if it was corrupt and criminal and deceptive, that's another thing. So I think what Tone's arguing for is that with these early users, it's unclear who is really who they are saying they are and who is not. And I think that's why he's arguing for this. But go ahead, Blake.
Okay, so all right, here's an example. I wrote an article. It was one of the I don't know how long ago. Anyway, I was watching that graphical user interface that I mentioned that shows every single transaction going on. I noticed some strange activity in the market, and a bunch of like names were making transactions and selling into themselves on the internal market. I wrote an article about that, pointed it out, and brought it up, and they were essentially gaming the liquidity reward system, and I pointed that out, wrote an article about it, got rewarded like $1,100 on upvotes, and in the next patch it was changed because they needed to find a different way to handle the liquidity reward system. But my point isn't that the system's broken. My point is that it's transparent because it's on a blockchain. If that wasn't on a blockchain, then we wouldn't know what's going on. But the reason things are running on nodes in a decentralized fashion, everybody who is running a Steem node has a copy of that blockchain on their computer, and they can watch it in real time and see what's going on. I really don't understand what you're talking about. How it's going to be.
I will build off of your example. Yes, you saw it. A couple of people that you don't know looked like they were gaming the system, and you notified the developers of the system, and they made a patch and changed it. How do you know they weren't the ones that were making these that were gaming the system, and after you pointed it out, they went and they obfuscated it, so now it's harder for you to tell that they are doing it. You just don't know.
No, they just shut off the liquidity reward system. That's all they did. And the person that did it came forward and said, yeah, that's my bots. They're the ones that are doing it, and I'm doing it to prevent other liquidity reward bots from gaming the system. Whether or not he's a good actor or a bad actor, I don't know, but we pointed it out, and the individual is still involved in the platform, and he votes and he upvotes and he's involved. So bad actor or good actor, who knows? I don't know. Until he kills someone, I don't know. Or until he robs a bank, we don't know what's going to happen. But my point is, just saying it's not a blockchain based on I don't know what evidence doesn't make it so. I'm telling you it's on a blockchain because I can download the blockchain and look at it, and anyone can look at the blockchain. Everyone can know just exactly what's happening on the system and where everything is going and who's doing it. So I don't know where this assumption of a fake blockchain comes from. I'm pretty sure with the amount of intelligence out in the world in the crypto space, a fake blockchain, a non-existent blockchain on the number 3 crypto market in the world would be noticed by now.
I take the complete opposite view of that. I don't think that there are that many smart people looking at this. I don't think there's that many smart people in crypto.
We also need to go back towards definitions here. A blockchain can be a shared, unalterable database, which is, I think, what Blake is trying to say. But a blockchain can also be more of a currency vehicle that stops double spending. The Byzantium general's problem is basically about double spending, or 2 orders coming in at the same time. Which order do you follow? That's really what the Satoshi Bitcoin blockchain was made for. It does sound like they're using kind of a version of that to create this shared, unalterable database, and that Blake is saying that's a benefit because he could use a tool to monitor it. He detected some inaccuracies, reported them, and they fixed it, whereas I think Tone is more in the monetary blockchain camp of the lack of double spending.
Oh, sorry. I just gotta make one more comment before I get so much hate comments. I put myself in the big group of people that are not smart enough to analyze whether they're actually using a blockchain. So I am putting myself in that bucket before everyone starts saying how Tone thinks he's the only smart one in crypto. I am in the bucket of the people that are not smart enough to answer the question, whether what they have is or isn't a blockchain.
All right, and I think we've got one more good question, then we got one more comment. For the top three Steam users, one upvote is worth more than $100,000. The top 10 are worth more than $60,000 per upvote. What's to stop them from upvoting each other once a month as a salary? Blake?
It would be seen on the blockchain, and the value of the system would quickly diminish because it would be obvious that they were gaming the system, and it would dismantle any trust in the platform. This is all game theory stuff.
So it is possible for the top 10 users to cause some serious damage.
And I don't know if those numbers are right though, but in my mind, like if I'm one of those whales sitting at the top of the platform, it's just like you know, if you can hack Bitcoin, if you can hack the blockchain and get the bounty of stealing everyone's Bitcoins, then guess what? You just stole a bunch of worthless bits. So it's the same concept. You can.
Well, I agree. There's a lot of self-interest here for these people. They have a lot of Steam power. So if they were to do something that destroyed Steam, they would destroy the value of their Steam power.
And it would be a slow motion exit scam because they can't withdraw all their Steam. All their Steam power is locked in for those 2 years. So it would be a slow motion exit scam while they see everyone sell off everything that they have, and no one will be interested anymore.
I will take it into a different direction. They don't need to do that. They don't need to, like Blake said, if the community notices that they're just upvoting each other to make money, that could cause some ripples through the system. But the beauty is that because Steam is, they call it some kind of proof of work, but it's obviously proof of stake because they're inflating the currency at 100% a year, so those whales will get to double their value of Steam just by keeping it in Steam power and withdrawing what they can every week in order to cash out. So they're basically they're in a perpetual motion state right now to earn more and more money. So they don't need to help each other. They just have to be somewhat active in the system, but these guys are now pretty set, mostly because of this inflation mechanism of them doubling their value every year.
Here's a very important point. If you initiate a power down, you stop earning the interest reward, you stop your Steam power stops gaining, and you no longer have the ability to your votes are, if I recall, your votes are no longer they don't have the same effect.
All right, and I want to close with a comment from Tom in the chat room. Tom says, the concept is sound. I'm going to expand on that. He said, we all want to reward content creators. We all want them to be rewarded. The question is the execution. The 3 coins, the complexity, the lack. I mean, there is some transparency. It's not 100% transparent. Maybe it's just the user interface hasn't been developed enough. There's not enough help files or tool tips. These are things that can be fixed. But at the end of it, we all want to reward content creators. So this is another interesting attempt to reward content creators. I think Blake made a lot of good points about how people are being rewarded. A community is being developed, and whether it's kind of bootstrapped right now, whether it had some money come in to create it, whether it'll continue in the future, we don't know. I think Tone made a lot of good points on if it is it a Ponzi scheme, what the setting is like, how it was set up, a lot of questions we don't know about the mining, the pre-mine, a lot of these technical details. But I want to thank you guys for a good debate. I think both sides were fairly represented. My flowchart's a big mess. I don't know how to score that at all. But it was fun to use my little, this is called a Boogie Board Sync. It's a pretty cool new toy I got. It's only $100, and what it does is it synchronizes to my phone as a picture, and it's pretty cool. You can see right there. There's the picture of what I drew. So it's pretty cool stuff. So Blake, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for moderating. That was good.
And Tone, thanks so much.
Thank you, Thomas.
We're going to echoing a little, but I'm going to close this out. Bye.